Now, actually, you can solve Euler problem number 1 without needing to use a computer. You can solve it using high school mathematics, but we'll assume that for the sake of argument that you've forgotten all your high school mathematics and you need to use the computer to solve it. Okay, before we start, we're going to learn a few extra Excel functions. So the first one is the mod function, which does modulus arithmetic. So this function finds the remainder when A is divided by B. You learned modulus arithmetic in high school, I'm sure. So for example, if we put mod 23, 5, what do you think the answer will be? 23 divided by 5 is 4 with remainder 3, so the answer should be 3. If we do mod 312, 7, it's 312 divided by 7, what's the remainder? 4. Okay, so this is a useful function for finding out if A is a multiple of B, which is going to be useful when we do Euler problem 1. The next Excel functions that we're going to look at are logical functions, which are return a value of true or false. Okay, so the easiest way is to demonstrate a logical function is just put in an equality or an inequality, and Excel will evaluate that and tell you whether it's true or false. So for example, we could say equals 7 equals 3. That's basically saying, does 7 equal 3? And the answer should be false. If we say, is 7 greater than 3? The answer should be true. We can also use greater than or equal. So if we put in equals 18 greater than or equal to 3, that should also be true. Okay, so anytime you put in an equality or an inequality, it will be evaluated to be either false or true by the spreadsheet. And of course we can do that with comparing different numbers. So if we put in 3 numbers, let's see, 18, 5, 21. Okay, I'm just choosing some numbers at random. We can test to see if number 1 is greater than number 2, and we can do that by putting equals C8 greater than C9, and that's true. We can test if number 2 is greater than number 3. Think for a minute, what would you put in there? You'd put equals C9 greater than C10. And that's false. Okay, so we would call these conditions. Now, Excel also has some useful functions for combining different conditions. So we can use the OR function, and you can put in 2 conditions, condition 1 and condition 2. And this function will return the value of true if either condition is true. Or another way of saying it would be, we return true if at least one of these conditions is true. So for example, if we put here equals or D12, D13, that will return true if at least one of these conditions is true. And clearly in this case, the first condition is true. So that gives us the correct answer. If we change the numbers at the top to make both conditions false, we put in 3 there, the answers will be automatically updated. So once again, the underlying formula there is OR D12, D13. So it's checking those 2 conditions to see if at least one of them is true. The other logical operator function in Excel is the AND function, which returns true if both conditions are true. Otherwise it returns false. Okay, so if we put equals AND D12, D13, it's going to come out false because both conditions are false. If we change the numbers to make both those conditions true, then the AND statement would give us a response of true. Okay, so those are just logical operators that are going to be useful for solving this Euler problem. Now I'm just going to clear away all this working and go back to solving the Euler problem. I'm just going to use this clear button here to clear all of that data. Okay, so what is the Euler problem number 1? We want to find the sum of all integers which are multiples of 3 or 5 and in the range 1 to 999. Okay, now normally I don't like to reveal the results, the answers to Euler problems, because people like to work them out for themselves, but I think this will be educational for you, so we'll make an exception this time. Okay, so our approach to this problem is going to be to list all the numbers from 1 to 999 and then check to see which ones are multiples of 3 and which ones are multiples of 5, and then add up all of those values. So let's just start by listing all the numbers from 1 to 999. So I'll just type in the first 3 numbers. Now I could just keep typing until I got to 999, but that would be very time consuming. Luckily, Excel has some useful features which will allow it to fill in missing values. So for example, if I highlight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Excel can see that there's a pattern there. So if I copy this, if I put my cursor on the bottom right hand corner and drag down, it will fill in all the missing values following the same pattern that has already been established. So let's just drag this down to approximately 999. Oops. Should be about right. Yeah, a bit more. Okay, so Excel's very handy that way for filling in data which follows a particular pattern. Okay, so now what we want to do is for each one of these numbers we want to test to see if it is a multiple of 3. So I'm going to just put in equals mod A8, 3. That gives me the modulus of A8 divided by 3, and if that's equal to 0, then it's a multiple of 3. So 1 is not a multiple of 3, obviously, so that's giving us the right answer. If we copy this down, you'll see that it does decide that 3 is a multiple of 3, which is true. So we can just copy that all the rest of the way down too. So to copy that formula all the rest of the way down the column, we just position the cursor over the bottom right corner and double click, and that will copy the formula down the rest of the column down to 999. Okay, same thing, multiple of 5. We want to find all the numbers which are a multiple of either 3 or 5. So let's just test here. What would you do, what formula would you put in here to find all the multiples of 5? Think about it for a minute, and hopefully you will come up with this answer. We copy that down again and check that it's giving the right answer. Yes, 5 is a multiple of 5, 10 is a multiple of 5, 15 is a multiple of 5. Okay, now we want to find all the numbers which are either a multiple of 3 or a multiple of 5. So what we want is a multiple of 3 or 5. And we can use our OR function here, equals OR and copy that down, and this will find all the numbers which are multiples of 3 or 5 out of the numbers from 1 to 999. So all we need to do now is find the sum of these. I'm just going to make the columns a little bit wider here so that we've got the headings in the right place. Okay, so this is another useful fact. If you multiply, if you do any arithmetic operation which has a logical value in it, Excel will consider that false is equal to 0 and true is equal to 1. So for example, if I put plus 3 times false, it will give me 0 because false is considered to be equal to 0. On the other hand, if I put equals 7 times true, the answer will be 7 because true is treated as a 1. So what we're going to do now is just multiply the number in column A multiplied by value, the logical value in column D. Sorry, D8 there. And copy it down. Once again, position your cursor over the bottom right hand corner, double click, and as you can see, the numbers which are multiples of 3 or 5 will appear in this column, and all the other numbers will be 0. So to find the answer to our Euler problem, all we need to do is find the sum of all the numbers in this column. I'm going to put the sum at the top because it's easier to read. So we just put equals sum and E8 down to E1007. That's 999 values. And there's the answer to our Euler problem. Okay, I hope you got the same answer using your high school mathematics. If you like, I think I'll post a discussion board notice so you can explain how you got to the right answer without using a computer. Okay, that's all for this lesson. So what you should know now is how to use the modulus function and how to use logical functions such as and OR. That's all for now.